you thrill to the smell of Castrol, the throb of a well-fettled parallel twin, and think that bike racing just hasn't been the same since Aggo and Mike the Bike quit the TT? Well, then there's one show in the biking calendar you really shouldn't miss. I am talking, of course, about the International Classic Bike Show, celebrating its 24th anniversary at the Stafford County Showground. It's a celebration of when British really was best, with over 25,000 visitors expected over a weekend. It takes an awful lot of planning.
It normally takes us 6 months to put one event on, from sending the first booking forms out to everybody. We have 4 teams down at base that works full times on the show side, sending out tickets to people, advance tickets, all the information to the customers, to the traders and that. And then when we get to the show, we normally book the hotel for about 50 people. We have all our own staff. They all come down and they work on the gates. So it's all employees through our company. We hire a security company in for the week, for the duration of the event, for controlling the parking, the security of the bikes. Because you can imagine we've got some bikes here that's worth, over 500,000, so we've got to provide security for those machines. Classic motorcycle scene, very heavily emphasised in this event. We have more than 60 private entries, 45 to 50 clubs coming every year. We have a mixture of clubs, auto jumble, trade stand, and it all works together to bring the biggest show in the world. It's the biggest show in the world of its kind. We get lots of people coming from France, Germany, the States. We even had a gentleman once come over from the States looking for a brass lamp for an old flat tanker bike, and he purchased one here for 400 and he flew home. So he just flew in especially to come to this event.
As well as being the single largest exhibition of old British iron anywhere in the world, Stafford also holds the biggest classic bike auction, with getting on for 400 lots in this year's sale, a massive task for Ben Walker from Bonhams Auctioneers.
Approximately 5 months of my life goes into putting this sale together. What most people don't see is what goes on behind the scenes. The sale setup is pretty intensive, and we do it all in the space of 2 days. 95% of the bikes from the UK, but we have machines coming from France, Italy, Germany, even as far as South Africa on occasion.
We asked Ben to point out 3 lots that he felt were especially interesting. Lot 324 is a very original 1927 Triumph 500cc Type TT combination.
Probably one of the most original examples in existence. It's the original superbike of the 1920s, and it has been in one man's ownership now for over 39 years. This is going to appeal to many people, museums, private collectors, the dealers, of course, and your punter who's fancies something different, wants something which is going to hold its value, and a bike like this should do exactly that. Estimated at £8,000 to £10,000, and I think it's worth every penny of that.
Lot 346 is a Benelli 6, 900cc's, 1986, less than 40 miles on the clock.
I suspect the person who buys this bike might either be a museum or a private collector, someone who's always admired them and wants it as a display piece in their lounge or front room. I mean, it is a stunning looking machine, but the trouble with it is you couldn't effectively use it on the road without devaluing it. As soon as you start to put miles on the clock, put wear on the engine, it will lose its price. It's estimated at £6,000 to £7,000, and I do not wonder whether that's perhaps just a little bit too strong, whether the market is ready for a bike this new, one of the last to be produced around 1986, so it will be very interesting to see what this makes in the auction.
Lot 338 is a completely dismantled 1954 Vincent Black Shadow with no documentation and bits missing.
I got a call into the office. Chap on the phone had a bike in his shed, not too sure what it was worth, quite local to me, so I popped down to see him. It was the son of the original owner, but they really had very little idea as to what its potential value was. I turned up on the doorstep, he showed me into the house, said, well, I think it could be worth maybe 500 quid, 1,000 quid. And well, boy, did I have some news for him. It turned out to be a Vincent Black Shadow, which, well, I know needs no introduction, a thoroughbred bike and a highly sought after machine. The difference is that this one is completely dismantled, in bits, and has caused a bit of a storm. I wouldn't be surprised if it sold for £8,000. I don't know that I'd necessarily be surprised if it sold for £10,000. But at the moment, your guess is as good as mine.
And we'll find out how they get on later in the show. But you don't have to be a big dealer to sell a bike at the Stafford show. Classic biker Frank Grassi from Liverpool is a regular down at Stafford, and this time he's hoping to find caring new homes for a shiny BMW R69S and a rare Macaletta scooter.
At the Stafford show here, the Indian stand and the Mako stand are side by side, so we got talking to the guys there, and about 5 or 6 years ago one of them was selling that scooter and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was great. It's more like a little motorcycle. It's got fairly big wheels for a scooter. It's got proper telescopic suspension, hub brakes, proper spine frame and a 250 fairly powerful motor, 4-speed gearbox. Goes really well. It's like a sort of bike but with a big armoured bodywork on it, you know. And as with most things, I thought that my wife might want to ride it, but she's never been interested. So it's sort of festered in the garage. The BM was the sort of gentleman's tourer of its day, and it's a bike I've always really liked. I have a modern BM that I use for everyday use. I'm looking for 62 for the BM and about 1,500 for the Macaletta. But both of them are quite rare, unusual bikes. They're not 10 a penny.
Frank's a real classic nut and he's got plenty of bikes back home in Liverpool, but his passion is Indians. Harley-Davidson's big rival in the US market before they went bust in the 1950s.
Yeah, I've had my Indian 101 now for about 10 years or so. As you saw, it's not in the world's shiniest condition, but it's been like that for almost 80 years now and it runs reasonably okay. It could do with a bit of love and attention once in a while, leaks a bit of oil, but it's great to ride. It's just a nice bike to ride. It's light and easy to handle by Indian standards. It was like a sports bike of its day. They used to use them on the Wall of Death, so that says a lot for them really.
We'll catch up with Frank later on and see if he's sold anything. As we were at the biggest classic bike show in the world, we thought we'd ask people what makes a bike a classic.
The workmanship, the craftsmanship, and the actual production of them, how they used to be made, built by craftsmen when they built them. Individual work. I think that's what makes a good classic bike.
It's the age that I am and the age when I had a bike when I was a youngster sort of thing. Things like a BSA Gold Star or a Triumph Bonneville, things like that. That's my sort of classic, which I enjoy. Nothing older than that, just sort of around the 60s mark, 60, 65, but that's my age, so I'm happy with that sort of machine.
Yeah, I'd like to buy a Gold Star or a vintage Norton, something like a calf racer. That's what I'm sort of got my eye on it. Apart from these new bikes, you sort of have new bikes, but they're not still got the image of the old ones.
I think outlet's different than anything else. It can be any bike as long as it's different than anything else. Something your own style onto it. You'll get something what's just. They buy these bikes from artist shops and they're all the same, aren't they? So but you've got to make your own thing and put your own mark on it altogether. So out like that, we'll do it. Yeah.
Age doesn't have anything to do with it. It's more its character and the people who used to ride them.
Well, this is a truly vast enterprise with something for everyone, whatever the definition of the word classic. And the thousands who have flocked to the Stafford show are a testimony to its success.
It's just been absolutely crazy. The gates they've just been flooding in through the gates. We got to the situation where we was bringing general public into the trade gate because there was that much volume on the road. There was a bit of a tailback from what I hear. I sort of hid behind the counter for a short while. But no, I've just come around here just to get a break from it really, because it's been non-stop since 9 o'clock this morning. So, and today I would have estimated there'd be around about 12,000 visitors coming through the gates. The weather has been so hot, it's been so warm, and if the repeat tomorrow, and with the people coming to the auction as well, it might have to get me out there directing traffic.
We're back at the 24th International Classic Bike Show in Stafford, the biggest show of its kind in the whole world, with up to 30,000 visitors over 2 days, more than 1,500 bikes on display. The Stafford Show is a great place to stock up on biking gear, with some really competitive prices on boots, leathers, t-shirts and of course helmets. One man who never misses Stafford is classic bike enthusiast Dave Fidderman. He has a company who make classic crash helmets in a variety of styles.
We manufacture everything in-house, all the shells, painting, all the leather work, all the testing gets done out. We come here and we sell it, meet some very nice people and have a great time. If you pick up what we do and you pick up one of the helmets and you pick up all the leather line and you look at it all and you know, there's a particular feel about the way we make stuff. The way RM makes stuff's really nice as well. You know, they make really nice stuff, but we're in a sort of a niche market with things. We only make a specific number of helmets a year. You know, we sort of, if someone wants a special helmet, special design, we just do that as part of the course in the day. You know, it's not. We just do it. If someone wants to have a pool helmet with numbers on the side, we do that, and a different colour, we do that. You know, and we don't make thousands and thousands and thousands of helmets. We make a specific number of helmets, which, you know, so it's people treat it as a bit of a treat having one, really. Some of it's led by ourselves, some things that we do, or we just look at the history of things, and then some of it's led by different countries, because we sell in Japan, all over Europe, Scandinavia, sell everywhere in the sort of developing countries of the world. So where there's a particular, you know, being Scandinavia, you'll sell a lot of matte black helmets, and then, you know, in the UK you might get quite a lot of old classic Halewood helmets we'll sell, and we do flame designs, and we do stuff with brown leather, more traditional, and so it's led by some of the stuff we do ourselves, some is led by other people. You know, like we might start doing some pinstriping work for the American market at the moment, and doing some metal flake work, you know, for the 70s things.
Back at the auction, there seems to be an awful lot of interest in two of our lots, and absolutely none in the other. Another of the big attractions of the Stafford Show is the absolutely massive auto jumble, a unique chance to pick up an acetylene headlight for your new Imperial, a Tansad seat for your 1923 Triumph, or a ray gun silencer for your BSA Rocket 3, and all at a bargain price. Sammy Miller was one of the UK's most prolific bike racers. As well as bringing his unique collection of racing Nortons to the Stafford Show, Sammy's also hoping to stock up on parts for his huge collection of classic bikes.
Every year we come here, and I've got my shopping list here as usual, you know. We're rebuilding the Porcupine, so I need some rear candlestick, rear suspension units for the Porcupine, because it's a 48 Porcupine we're just rebuilding. First bike to win the World Championship, Les Graham, so that's running, and we're now looking for bits. Looking for a rev counter for it too. Anybody got a rev counter? Acetylene lights are always useful too, because the restoration, often the lights get damaged and broken, and when we're restoring bikes for the museum, it's nice to have acetylene lights. I managed to get some lights this morning and some gaiters for MP forks, because we've just restored a little dot and we need some gaiters for that, and I managed to get. Handlebars, we had some handlebars this morning, and levers, clip-on bars for Norton, so big list, and Villiers crank, glass for an oil meter. Got to get sorted that. Sponge for mounting tanks, and of course proverbial tools. We're always after tools. Little boys love tools, and big boys like bigger tools. There's an interesting Amel carburetor, twin float. Obviously they put twin float, stop fuel surge. Very useful, about 1933, 34. Don't really have a purpose for that one, but something like oil gauges, speedos. I'm looking for an oil gauge for the Porcupine, something that will read up to about 50, 60 pounds per square inch. So, and these are Villicet type footrests, which are quite good. The serration on that is typical Villicet. And if you're built in a Villicet, that's definitely the thing to have. Good steering damper here. Looks like, let me see, that will be sort of Norton AJ matchless type. Ideal if you're missing that. The knob's missing off the top, but they're available. Lots of people make new knobs, so you can get the name on the top of that. So that's got all the discs, the fiber discs, the spring clip, your bracket to locate on the steering stop, so very good.
All good stuff, but not quite what he was looking for.
This is a rare engine here, HS Scrambler. Is this a 500 or 350?
That's a 500,
yeah.
Yes.
So what about a gearbox? Have you got a gearbox?
I've got a gearbox, yeah, and I've got the tank.
Yeah. The chrome tank, there's a few dents in it.
It's seen a bit of battle.
Yeah, but still salvageable, you know, because the chrome, that area was chrome there,
yes,
and the rest was red, you know. So you'd have to chop the bottom out of that,
right,
and knock the dents out and re-chrome it, you know. Can I have a look at the head?
You know, it's
still yeah, the fins broke off, but they can be welded up, you know. Business scrambles, because it's got should have a bigger port, you know, on that, you know. Yeah. But anyway, you can work with it and do something, you know.
The toolbox is an oil tank, and the oil tank is a toolbox.
Yeah.
On this model,
yeah. Have you got the? This is the airbox here.
The airbox,
yeah. That was the works. I used to work at this in the comp shop, you know, so I know all the bits, you know. Yeah. That was a good modification, you know.
Was it?
To have the air, you know, use that as the air filter box,
well,
you know.
You don't know about modifications.
We've got one in the museum if you need any reference, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
So, no luck either, but Sammy doesn't seem to mind. The sun's shining and he's having the crack with the old classic bike crowd. And anyway, he got lots of good stuff earlier on.
This morning I had quite a bit of luck. I've got quite a few bits and pieces, and of course there's another 2 days to go really, and we'll find everything. So here it's only a matter of finding it.
If you've neither the space nor the money to start a collection of classic bikes, maybe you could have a collection in miniature, in which case the man you need to see is full-time Sky Sports commentator and part-time motorcycle model trader Julian Ryder.
It started when a friend of mine wrote a photographer called Kel Edge, did a feature for a magazine we both know, MCI, long lamented, and he found this collection of tin plate motorcycles at a museum in Birmingham, and he photographed it. We ran it in MCI. I thought, blimey, those are fascinating. And I went, someone told me, these things called toy fairs. So I went to one next week and started buying, became a collector. And then you find, as you know, you buy at auction, you know, a box this size to get one thing out of it, and you've got to get rid of the rest, haven't you? So you're a dealer all of a sudden. This is, despite the American look of it, is a British toy made by Marks in South Wales. Marks, I think shortly after the war, if I've got my history right, got a contract to supply Woolworths. And the parent company in the States then shipped over a load of tooling, all sorts of toys. Firemen who climb up ladders, horses and cart. A great shipload came over, and this was one of them. So despite looking like a 1930s American highway patrolman, this is probably a 1950s British toy. And it reminds me of the Zip Nolan cartoon in the Lion comic. If you're old enough, you're not. But very few toys were actually good models of a particular motorbike. They were generics. So it's unusual to find something like that, which was made by Arnold in the 60s, very famous German tinplate firm. And actually, it's a very, very good model of the NSU record breaker. that, what was his name, Wilhelm Hertz rode on the closed autobahns to set world speed records. So usually you've got some a tin plate motorbike, and this is from the same company, Arnold. And you can see what the designer, you know, it's obviously a Boxer twin. So the designer at some point in time had seen a BMW or a Zundap or something, but no way is that a model of a particular motorbike. This is what you normally get.
The sun is beating down and show attendance figures are up by a whopping 25%. True to his word, Nick Mowbray is hard at it outside, directing the traffic. Remember Frank Grassi, the Indian enthusiast? Well, he didn't do too well at Stafford. He didn't sell either the BMW or the Michaeletta scooter, but he's had interest in both since the show. Back to the auction now, and a chance to see how our three lots get on. The world's best bike auctioneer, Malcolm Barber, has jetted in from his base in California. 400 lots to go. Let's get on with it.
2900, 2950.
Well, of course, the thing about auctions is that they're unpredictable. Would you believe that lot 324, the Triumph and Sidecar, actually didn't make its reserve price and so wasn't sold? The Benelli, number 346, which had been estimated at between £5,000 and £7,000, the one with only 40 miles on the clock, only raised £3,450. But the sensation of the show was our Vincent in T-Chest. Lot 338, the 1954 Vincent Black Shadow, it had been estimated at between £6,000 and £8,000. And what do you think it sold for? A whopping £13,800.